thank you very much for coming on the show. This is great. I'm glad to finally meet you. This is how we meet each other nowadays, over Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Hi, yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. My name is Mascha. I am a creative and tech entrepreneur. I am more last couple of years spent obsessing over networking and event software, and I built one. My company is Hatch, and it really, my passion is about connecting people in a better, more efficient way, and specifically focused on how to bring from online to in real life, which, you know, a lot of people say URL to your IRL, but it's not really happening much. It's much harder than, it's much easier said than done.
Exactly, especially with all this COVID
Yeah,
stuff that is happening. So
yeah.
what made you decide to go down this path? Because a lot of people are like, oh, social networks, there's tons of them out there. They're all great. What made you decide to go ahead and do this?
Yes, there's tons of them out there. They're great in serving sort of purpose, but they're not actually connecting you face to face. They, you know, they take a lot of our data, but they're using it for others, for third parties and advertisers, instead of actually serving us with that data. So, you know, I think it was there's a couple of different layers to what really ended up triggering me to do this quite drastic move. You know, it's one thing is that the software is not providing you what I believe we need. I will tell more about that later. Also, you know, I moved a lot, I traveled a lot. I used to live in Europe, then New York, then here. Every time I come somewhere, I'm a single mom, I have to network, I run my own businesses. It takes so much time to really start building valuable connections, not those that you have one Zoom call and never speak again. So
Exactly.
it's extremely time consuming, and I think it should be made easy, because it doesn't just add the business value to your life, but it ends up giving you some sort of personal fulfillment and value, because, you know, it's good to meet people for coffee and have a chat.
Exactly. I almost get the impression that all these other networks started out that way, that they were all thinking that they were going to be used to connect people, and they've ended up sort of becoming the complete opposite. It's disconnecting people more than connecting people. Even ones like LinkedIn, which is supposedly supposed to foster business connections, has just turned into a giant job board, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a giant job board, and all you get is tons of sales messages that are copy pasted. You know, and I think LinkedIn has a really great purpose. It's valuable in terms of it's now become a place where you go and check someone out and you see a little bit what they are about in a more kind of in-depth way. But, you know, I know, so if I just touch on LinkedIn, I know that LinkedIn did try to do something that I'm doing, the similar feature, which is this nearby connecting. It was using the Bluetooth, and they sort of messed up this feature because it was only live for a while. I don't know if all users got it. I got it. You had to open the app and hold the app open, and then you would, in a span of 450 feet, if anyone else has an app open, in that moment you would see them. But nobody walks around with an open app. It doesn't
That
work.
sounds like a great idea, though.
Yeah,
So
but I know for a fact that they weren't able to do this differently, because they are building off of really old code base, you know, a decade and a half old code base, and there's only certain things that it can do and cannot do. So what I'm doing is this, you know, you're constantly connecting in real time. You don't, and based on your proximity, we don't take users' locations, but we measure the distances between the users. And you can have your phone in your pocket, and you're going to get pinged when somebody relevant is in your range. So you know, it's great for at events. It's also great for when you're not an event. I think that mainly a lot of, you know, social platforms had desire to connect people, but because they're run by advertisers, the desire to make money and serve advertisers became more important than actually serving people. That's unfortunate. I do feel that, you know, my product is sort of SaaS, And I feel that the SaaS market of software has an opportunity to resolve what the social platforms that are run by advertisers cannot solve, because it's kind of too far down the path. Where the SaaS product is, you pay subscription, or somebody that runs the company or corporation or event pays a subscription, and you get the value of connecting. And every event organizer, that's why I kind of added this event layer in, because event organizers are obsessed with providing good connections to people. That's what brings people back to their events. It's the one number selling point. So if I go to event organizers and say, I have great matching for your events and great sort of experience, and that's really valuable to them, and they're willing to pay for it. And it's then a great value to the user as well, right?
No, I agree with you 100%. There's, of all the networks I've used, and I've been doing this since they first started, the only networks that really were useful were Rise, which is the online-offline network. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They were around quite a long time ago. They had an offline component. They had an online site and an offline component. And the offline component were event organizers driving people to events. And then they started the conversation online and then offline, and they'd have the same conversation with the individuals. The only other one I used was, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a personalized matching service. You would say to them, here's the kind of person I want to get in touch with, and they would set up a meeting. It was totally manually done, and I got some great contacts through that connection and work. And I remember one day, I've been using them for about a year, and I said, you guys are free. Like, I want to pay you. You're so good. I want to pay you. And they go, well, we haven't figured out the business model yet. That's coming. And then a month later, they were gone. So it's unfortunate.
If you don't have VCs behind you, it's really hard. It's hard to stay.
Exactly. Yeah. But their model was so manual. I mean, it was great because the matchups were fantastic, but they spent a lot of manual effort to match these people up. And it makes me think that there's got to be some sweet spot combination between AI and people being able to do this. And I would gladly pay for a service like yours, which would help me meet real people for the purposes that I want to meet them for, like make real matchups.
Yes. So there's two things. Another, you mentioned Rise, but I never use Rise, but Meetup has the similar type of idea. The problem is when you have a Meetup app, there's no profile, there's no rich profile experience there, which again, you're down to talking to people and trying to figure out who's who and whether they're relevant or not. It's a lot of work, right? Even if you're super sociable and you love chatting to people, it's a lot of work. And what, we use algorithms to do this, and we're now integrating the ML. It shouldn't be so taxing on the user, because all of this data already exists. You can input your own data in also, and then the technology should do the rest, right? The magic of tech is to save you time, but what has been happening is the opposite. The technology is overwhelming us. We went in last 5 years from having an average screen time 4 hours, I think, to 7.2. It's a real issue. And that's just because
like you said, it's run by the advertisers. They want you to be on the system more, not actually connecting with people. They just want you to be on the system more. So they drag you back. But the real reason why you're there is, I mean, that's the whole point of it. It's social networking. You're supposed to be networking, but you're not. You're ending up just spending time on the network itself and not with the individuals in the network.
Yeah. I do think that's what I say. I think SaaS software is potentially, can sort of really aim to sort of overpower these advertisers that are kind of driving our lives.
So you say do you use a combination of AI and human connections? Like how do you make the connections between individuals? So I'm assuming you have you start off with profiles just like any other systems. How do you make those connections?
So you build your profile. There's really quick way to just tap a few things in. I think, I'm always improving that part. It's really smooth and easy for the user. And then the way the algorithms work is kind of a simplistic explanation is you have something I'm looking for, I have something you're looking for, and we have some social interest in common. That is a match for me. Now we have another set of kind of compatibility measuring, where I say how much you have in common with someone. You can have a lot in common with someone. They might not be your match, because the match, I say, it's someone that, usually the people that are useful in a business sense to you are something opposite that you are lacking, not something of the same. Now you still want to connect with people of the same, because you might have a lot in common with a person, but the match might be someone that has just what you need. And if there's the mutual kind of exchange, then it becomes just an easy way to turn it into something that becomes an actual valuable partnership. It's really, I say it's simple. I don't understand why nobody, why would something that makes common sense not be integrated? Because if you think LinkedIn is pushing you who you know in college, who you have connections with, and I always say, I understand that for the sake of network effect, that was useful, but I actually don't need to connect with people that know someone that went to the same school, or that's completely irrelevant. I just need the best person for what I need, right? That's kind of...
Yeah, no, and I've been talking about that for a really long time, because if you look at the internet, it's totally inundated with sales messages, but untargeted, or very poorly targeted sales messages. I want to be able to go out there and say, I want this at this moment in time for this price, and to be able to be matched up with somebody who can provide the same thing. It just seems that we're in a situation now where there's just all this messaging going on, and it's just falling on deaf ears. And there's a lot of advertisers making a lot of money, or tech companies making a lot of money on the mismatch of the conversation between people. So, and as an engineer, I'm like, there's got to be a more effective way of doing this, and that's exactly the kind of stuff that you're talking about, and I love it. But when I try to talk to people about this, they go, well, people don't really know what they want. Can you actually just go into a forum and say, this is what I'm looking for, and be matched up with somebody?
I mean, I think yes. So there's two ways. The way this goes in my product is you tell what you're looking for. I know what I'm looking for. I always look for good engineers. That's kind of a must. I probably don't need a designer, because that's what I do myself. So that's an easy sort of choice. And then we do have a search engine, but the search engine, the good part about this, it's also that it searches nearby. So you can search on the whole of a platform, or you have this nearby search, and that's very different. So if something comes to me on a whim, I need an accountant, let me find, there's probably some great accountants down the street. Like, why wouldn't I just have someone that I can also have a personal relationship that's beyond, a phone call? I think that's valuable. I think we're missing opportunity by not locally better connecting people. When you live in big city, I always wonder, there's so many amazing people around here. I can go on LinkedIn. I have no clue who's in my area. It's a huge area. It's full of fantastic professionals. I would love to connect with them. I'm sure they would like the same. It's like, why would I drive on the other side of town and spend an hour in a car if I probably have hundreds of people here to connect with? Nobody's giving me an option to.
So a lot of times when I've seen these localized services, a lot of time they're kind of sparse, right? So because especially since if you're just starting up and you haven't been around for a while, you don't have a lot of people in a specific area, or like the nearest person's like 30 miles away or something like that. Are you able to get over that in other ways, or
that's definitely obviously an issue when you're starting a product. That's why I built this white labeling branded layers for events, because I don't need to fully, if I would just do that, that would be a kind of a bit of a painful thing to do. Because I have an event, I can just make a deal with an event organizer. Those people are there. The app is really useful there. But because they stay on the platform, more events you do, people start dispersing, and then you have people cross-connecting from other events, and it becomes just like really valuable over time. But yeah, it's growing requires, money and time. And obviously continuously improving the product. I do think, the user is the value to the user is kind of at the core of what I want to offer.
So what is do you currently have a subscription model? So somebody pays a subscription to be part of the network? Is that how it works?
Yes, I have some subscription model. I also give, a lot of people I just invite. So there's a kind of, I invited a lot of female founders. They have lifetime free access. The white labeling can be paid either if you want to have a permanent white label solution on the platform. That's good for organizers that keep having monthly events. They can feed and build a community over time by, sort of using it over and over, and it slowly accumulates. So that's kind of a permanent subscription white label. And then the other one is one-time geofenced events where I can inject branding and event experience into a specific location. When a user comes in, that experience of the event, branded event experience will come up with all the features pop up there, and then it just seamlessly disappears. But again, you stay on the platform and you then connect, and maybe you go from one side of town to another home and you might find other people there.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about your startup journey. Like, so you first started, when did you first start thinking, I want, this is all pretty awful and I want to do something better? And then when did you do that, and how did you start up?
Yeah. So, it was my frustration. And then it was, I think, 2014 or 15 when I saw Tristan Harris's TED Talk. He's an ex-Google guy that, he also has a Netflix documentary, A Social Dilemma. He was criticizing the social networks and how they're, everything that I was feeling. And I was like, oh my God, I thought it's just me being really annoyed and frustrated with this. And then he had this amazing TED Talk and everybody was like, wow, yes, it was kind of eye-opening. And that's when I was like, okay, this really makes sense. It's funny because I think I was very naive coming from creative world. I didn't know a single engineer at the time, really didn't know anyone. I had this, early naivete where you just kind of like, oh yeah, I can do this. And then realizing deeper and deeper I got, harder and harder it was. But then I was so deep in the trenches, I wouldn't just pull out, right? It becomes like obsession. And now you just need to go further, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes. It's the kind of mission that even if it takes me till the rest of my life, it's something that I think it's worth wasting life on.
So when you first started, did you write your own code, or did you use WordPress, or how did you make the first version of the site live?
Yeah, so the first version, was one feature that I have a US utility patent for, but it came out of, okay.
Congratulations.
I go around New York. I was living in New York. I constantly meet people and I keep forgetting who's who. I don't save their number. Then I have a name in the phone because I tapped it in as I'm talking to them and I can't remember who is that. So the first feature was similar to Bump, if you remember Bump, but I say better, and we overrode some of the earlier patents. You face two phones and it snaps a business card across, and it does it cross-platform. It doesn't use Bluetooth or NFC. So that was kind of the first sort of one feature. That specific feature was done. I paid two MIT guys to build it out.
Nice.
But it was kind of one feature. And then, I start talking to investors or advisors and everybody said, well, this is just a feature, why will people subscribe but they not use, and then I start, okay, well, what about this whole experience? How can I just keep adding and adding and adding and adding, and sort of that's kind of how it went. And different engineers build different pieces. I had someone that came from Y Combinator writing the first matching. Only later, after 6 months, two other engineers realized this is not scalable at all. So we had to scratch and start again. The product iterations are in thousands, so much so that a lot of times engineers would just be sick of me. But it's just,
We're doing a release a day. No.
yeah, no, but the thing was not, I wanted to solve a problem, and it wasn't like, oh, this is how it's going to be. It was like, well, let's try this. And okay, let's tweak it. Let's tweak it. Let's tweak it.
You're pivoting. You're trying different things.
We're constantly improving, because I didn't come with the notion like I know how I'm going to solve this problem. I'm still working on it. It's a tough problem to solve.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, no one else has been able to solve it, so it's good that you're making progress.
Yeah.
How do you roll design thinking in? Like, how do you roll customer feedback into the product?
Well, I've been doing it all the time, and mainly by just talking to people and seeing what bothers them. And when enough people say something is just really bothersome, then you understand that there's something to it that doesn't quite work. That's kind of just the old-fashioned way.
So did you have like a moment in time when you were, as you were progressing through your journey, that you realized, yeah, this is it, this is the direction we want to go in, and full steam ahead?
I always have this feeling, and even during pandemic when I paused, because the slogan I had pre-pandemic was, we use the magic of technology to connect you face to face, and then we're on lockdown. So I had a big pause. It was very devastating in a sense, but even after, I just, nobody solved the problem yet. And I know I sometimes feel like this is a huge burden to have, to carry. I keep continuing because as I said, I feel like it's something that needs to be done. Yeah,
someone needs to solve the problem.
Yeah,
I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah, and that the major thing is like, well, it's hard to compete in a market. You need some big chunks of money. That's just really, I have the product, I've done the hard work, I've done the obsessing and everything, I invested my own money in. Now I'm at the place of like, well, I need some funding so that I can actually sort of grow and extend this. It's sort of, it's in this economy, it's hard for people to bootstrap, because you've got to need to pay bills and stuff, right? It doesn't go
yeah, but I mean, if you actually can make those connections and make money, I mean, that's the thing about LinkedIn. It's like, the reason why I thought LinkedIn was a business network, not a job board, right? So I thought the whole point of LinkedIn was, we're going to connect to each other on a professional basis, and here's what I'm offering, and here's what you need, and hopefully we can match those things up, and I can do business with you, right? And that's not what it is, right?
No.
And it's like, we need that. We need something like that, and I would pay good money for it. I'm sure that lots of people out there would pay good money for a service that cuts through all this crap and actually connects me with somebody who's willing to buy right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just when you're growing at the beginning, every platform is for free. It's kind of how it goes. So it's, because you need
I think you should charge a lot of money. You should charge like $1,000 a month.
It's like you need to generate some initial volume that becomes then, it's sort of, I mean, you can charge a little bit for sure, but thank you.
What you need to do is like the Tesla model, where you charge like a lot of money at the beginning and then slowly reduce it, number of connections or something like that. But just to load up the coffers, right? I mean, I think this is an amazing service, and it really needs to fly, because nothing else out there does what this does. So can you answer the question about not really knowing what you want? I mean, do you actually do any assistance when I'm going through the process of actually saying, this is what I'm looking for? Do you assist the user in sort of putting together their query so that they know how to ask it properly?
Not really, because my attempt is to make this as simplistic and easy for you as possible.
Right.
You can put some stuff in what you're looking for. You can always go in and re-edit your account later. It's not like you just, like any account. Anytime you're going to edit, it's going to restructure, and the algorithms are running full time in real time. So they're running nonstop. So it will just change the thing. And also then you have a search. I maybe don't have something in my profile, but I just remembered something on a whim. I mean, if you don't know what you need, then you likely don't need it.
Right. So I love your earlier, so let's say your earlier thing was spot on. So let's say I'm looking for an accountant, right?
Yeah.
So I need an accountant. So do I just go in there and say, I'm looking for an accountant. Here's my
Yeah,
I'm a
you just
small
type a
business. Blah, blah,
keyword.
blah. Yeah,
You very little. It's all keyword based. You type a
yeah.
keyword, you say accountant, and boom, it will populate any accountants that are in your range. If you're
Hmm.
somewhere where there's not a lot of traffic, you can go in accountant, and you go into accountant. You put all, and you search among all accountants. Oh, another thing it's also when you set up a profile, we ask you what the industries you're in. So you can choose up to 3, I don't know, technology, fashion, whatever it is. And then you get pulled into those hubs. It's just like another layered way. You can go into, let's say, technology, and you within technology, within nearby, type accountant. It's likely someone accountant that probably is connected to technology space, which might be even more valuable. So there's kind of, but it's just different layers, the way you view the app, that it kind of allows you to sort of, again, in a matter of few seconds, find something.
I love it. You're not just replacing LinkedIn. You're replacing a lot of other services that are terrible,
Yeah, thank you.
like Yelp and Thumbtack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because does it extend to things like plumbers? Like I need a plumber. Can I go in there and ask for a plumber?
No,
or
I
is
mean,
it more of a professional
I think it's
level?
more professional level. I don't, it's about business professionals. Not that you want to sort of be exclusive in a sense of, yeah, being exclusive is not good, but exclusive in a sense that it's for business professionals, those that sort of seriously conduct business. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I love this idea because a long time ago I came up with this concept which I tried to have patented through one of the companies I was working with, but they didn't go for it, which I called engineered serendipity. Because right now, when we a lot of times when we get business, it's because we just sort of happen to bump into somebody, right? We're on a plane, we're in a bar, whatever. We bump into somebody and we start talking about what we do, and they go, "Oh, I might need that," or "I have a friend who might need that," or whatever. So, but it's totally serendipitous. It's like I happen to be there, I happen to bump into somebody. These things just happen to happen. But I'm like, why can't we just engineer more of that? Where we go, okay, if I have these needs that I've written in the background that I need, and then you happen to walk into a bar where there's somebody else who can provide your service, your phone should buzz and go, hey,
Yeah.
this guy over here, or this woman over here can help you. Go meet them. So I mean, it sounds like that's what you built.
That's what the end dream goal is, that this is what it becomes. Obviously it's it's expensive to build technology. I've been passionately building and putting everything in for a couple of years now, and I hope to, I'll continue doing it. But I agree, this is the dream. This is the fantasy that I have, that I'm fly to New York and it just pings me and there's like someone right there. And and it's not someone that I just randomly start talking in a bar, but it's someone I actually got a ping and there's actually really amazing business potential. I mean, that is a dream, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So how close are we to that vision? I mean, how far away are you from where you are today to where that would be?
In terms of the product, I'm very happy with the sort of how the current product is. Always stuff to fix, but I think I brought product to a place where I'm not obsessing over iterating so much anymore. It's a matter of funding and having full-time, being able to then have a full-time engineer so we can go fast and grow fast. So that's kind of the only sort of challenge that I have. I'm thinking of sort of doing a big crowdfunding campaign, and actually, instead of going through the VC round, have the people that are the users being investors in the product. Yeah. Because I think that would be so nice if rather than answering VCs, I answer the users, which they are my sort of customer and my sort of sole interest.
I still think you should create like a user level where everyone pays $1,000 a month, because that's how much it's worth to me.
I need to be more brazen. I'm very like, my sort of weakness is to always feel like, is it good enough? And obsess, like nothing is ever good enough.
It's hundreds of times better than it is. See, this is the thing with that service that was doing a really good job of matching people. They were free and they were giving it away for free, so they were losing money like crazy. But if they had started charging right up front, then and a higher fee. I mean, this happened to me. I was consulting with a smoking cessation app in France, and they were going, "Oh, we're making this much money because we're charging $20 a month." And I said, "Well, is your software effective? Is it working?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's absolutely working. We have like 80%, 90% success rate." And I'm like, "Well, you shouldn't be charging $20 a month. You should be charging $100 a month, because if it's that effective, people who really want to quit will pay the money." And it's the same with your kind of service. It's like people who really want to get out of this whole social media, social networking treadmill, which is what we're all on. We're all on this treadmill.
Yeah.
I would gladly pay, a hefty amount of money to your network to say, match me up with people who matter to me.
Yeah. But where's and I agree. I'll send you the access code later. But I don't know.
Oh, thank you.
I forgot to do it. But
is it going to cost me $1,000 a month though?
No, definitely not. But what is the point? Because my matching is so precise, this is not going to be pinging you a lot. It pings you once a month, maybe. It's not,
But it doesn't matter. It's like, I'd rather have one ping that's useful than 1,000 pings that are like, "Oh God, do I have to talk to this person again?" And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And
it's like Twitter is the worst. I can't imagine. Like, people say to me, "Oh, you have to be more on Twitter. You have to spend more time on Twitter, talking to people on Twitter." I'm like, no. I'm not getting anything from them.
Everybody's just talking into the void for their own self-serving purposes. I switched off all social accounts and primarily Twitter because I wanted to reduce the bias. Like, I realized how biased and agitated I was becoming with everything.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, but I'm not like this in real life. Like, this platform is really enraging me in a way that it's not who I am.
It's doing its job. It's enraging you, so it's doing its job properly.
Yeah. But yeah, and you said before, I was just thinking, because you said before about AI and matching, and I will tell you, I test a lot of products that are in similar space all the time, and I repeatedly test them, and because sort of I'm trying to see, there's some AI matching products out there, claim AI, but what they do is they go online, scrape the data, and they pull out some keywords from the scrape data. They pull them out of context and they match you based on that. And I'll tell you, I've been testing the products, and you end up with this irrelevant random matches, because if you scrape data across, who knows what keywords you're going to pull out on me, but you cannot determine what I need, what I'm looking for, what is going to benefit me, what I can offer to someone, because you just pull the keywords out of context.
Exactly.
So most of this AI matching software is actually really just messy and useless.
Oh yeah, exactly. I did the exact same thing. Probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I went to one of these companies that said, "Oh yeah, we're going to find you buyers who are ready to buy at the exact moment that they're ready to buy." And I said, "Great, sign me up." Yeah. And I got maybe 5 or 10 phone calls out of the thousands of people that they gave me, and no sales whatsoever. And since then, they've pivoted to actually just providing their service to other people, because they can't make any money selling using this AI methodology. So I think your method is probably way, way better. But yeah, none of these tools out there, I think, can really do the job.
I mean, it's better you ask me what I need or want and what I have to offer than scraping something about me online, right? I mean, it's just kind of,
Well, they try to figure out your intentions.
With AI, it's like garbage in, garbage out. It's kind of that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, I think it does a terrible job of figuring out what it thinks you want. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be explicit with what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what? So you're where are you right now? So you've launched, and you've been out there for how long? I had it launched pre-pandemic, but I had a hard pause and haven't touched it for 2 years. Yeah.
So now I'm sort of, I had the trajectory, and now I'm going back again, sort of in that direction. Currently I'm making a lot of just partnerships with sort of events. If event has a really good attendee list, I give them free white label beautiful experience, and kind of slowly getting there. I'm always looking for engineers. And I really plan to, I hope within maybe a month or two, do a big crowdfunding campaign and say, hey, invest, use and invest in the product that you're going to use, and we'll build it to serve you.
Okay. And then I guess the question I have then is, how does the process work? Like you said, I go on there and I ask for accountants. You said there was online, offline component to it. So would I meet somebody at an event, or would I go online and say?
Yeah, not offline, online. It's just it's a mobile app. You set up your, it's a mobile app. I will send you. I have both Android and iOS built, but I currently the best latest updates are on iOS only. The Android was like, one user every 300 users is just financially not viable until it becomes necessary. Right. But it's a mobile app. That's why it can detect your location and stuff. Again, we're measuring the distances between users. And when
I go in there and I say, I'm looking for an accountant, and then I pocket my phone, and then I just go to places, and it'll buzz me when there's an accountant nearby. Oh, okay.
You create your profile. You first create your profile. You add all your information in, like industry, skills, interest. Then you say, what are you looking for? I'm looking for this and that and that. The same you tapped for you, tap for someone else, tap for what you're looking for. That gets in your profile. You can always edit. But that's then used and your location to ping you.
And it doesn't come up with like a Tinder list of swipe.
No
like,
swiping.
Here's the 10 accountants in your area.
No swiping. You get you see everything in one go. So that's why it's like it has almost like a iWatch experience. There's just bubbles. You immediately see. Depending on how much you have in common with someone, you'll see either it's how blue or hot the bar around the profile is.
I like that. Nice.
So it's hot versus cold. You see who's hot. Funny, but then you see some people will have check marks, but those check marks you usually get a ping, especially when they're close by. And those check marks are the mutually beneficial versus the how much you have in common. And then if you do need an accountant, you just type a keyword search in the bar that lies on top of the screen. You type a keyword and it will populate.
Love it. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try it. This sounds great.
Yeah.
So let's say it's time to talk it's time to think like a futurist. It's the year 2032. Where will you be? Where will your app be in 10 years? Like, what's your vision for where you see this going?
Mm-hmm. When you say 10 years from now, where we are, it depends. I sometimes have I'm optimistic, but I do think maybe in 10 years we're in some Ready Player One situation. I don't know if you watched the movie, which is pretty dystopian and dark.
Oh yeah.
I think
we're all going to be in the metaverse by then. You haven't been working on your metaverse version yet?
No, but I hope. Yeah, I mean, in terms of my product, I have the desire, like I told you, that at some point you'll be flying around and going places, and everywhere you go, you'll be pinged and you'll find your perfect partner. I do have an amazing designed experience for the dating world that sits like a layer on top of this.
I was going to say, you should probably look in the dating world as well, because this sounds like a perfect dating app.
I already designed it. It's differently designed. It doesn't have this sort of, bubbles and faces and stuff. It's a little different. But a few people that I told, they're like, oh my God, build this. And I said, I need to first do first.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. But the dating sort of experience it's next. And I think then it's really, I say, bringing valuable lifelong connections would be a goal that I think would enrich everybody's lives.
So after you've made the connection, so let's say I go into a place and I find the other person or people who do these things, and I say, go ahead, connect me. Does it actually say, so and so is over there, or does it show his picture, or what exactly happens after I make the connection?
So when you will see people nearby, you see bubbles. Those that are matches are pinged. You get pinged for the matches, and they get pushed into another section of the app where you then collect the matches over time. When you tap on the match, it opens the profile, or any profile you tap on. When you tap on it, it opens it, and it tells you a little bit more about the person. The match will also tell you why it's been matched. It's a little story. You do this, they do that, they're looking for this, so that you kind of understand a little context of why you've been matched. Then you can, it depends, right? There's an in-app chat. You can tap on the icon and start talking to them. If they're an event, means you're going to probably meet somewhere. I say there's a ask for connection. Like on most platforms like LinkedIn, you ask for connection, and then it pretty much means somebody's following you and looking at your content. There's none of that here. When you ask for connection, this is usually after you spoke to someone or met someone, it releases their business card, meaning you have their email, phone number, and you can sort of do all of that as well. So it kind of deepens the level of connection.
Nice.
So that's
and then you can meet them, and you set up a call to meet them in person or whatever. You do all that. Offline.
I mean, one of the things I definitely want to build is some sort of easy meeting scheduling thing that's kind of automated, but that's sort of a next step. I just need to sort of work with what I have right now, and then there's some good stuff that I have planned for future after the fundraising.
Yeah. One of the things I really liked is that I worked with the IFTF, and what they do is whenever they have a meeting, they give out a list of all the attendees' contact information. So you don't have to worry about connecting with other people. Everybody who's there, you already have their contact information. So I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea so that if you're at an event, it automatically shares everybody else's contact information? Like if you come to the event, it automatically captures your information and then shares it with everybody else at the event. Is that something you're also thinking about doing?
There is a feature when I create a bubble for a white label bubble, right, branded for someone. There's a choice of how we filter, and if you share connections. If the owner of the group of the event decides to share the connection, then it will share automatically with everybody. That's kind of a choice. Sometimes people don't like that. What it's also built out already, but haven't really been sort of brought to market, is when you create the geofenced experience and you network within some event, when the user leaves and triggers that geofence, it sends them, pushes them an email summary with everybody that they connected there with. So that's a really nice, again, easy, instead of having a bag of cards, trying to remember who's who again, Google everybody.
I love that concept. That's great. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Just everything that can make your life easy and let you enjoy and look up from the screen.
I would pay good money for that. Tell you.
I love your words.
So this is great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been fantastic. Now, if somebody wants to get in touch with you or join the network or whatever, what's the best way?
The best way is you can go online. And there's a way you can inquire. If you're an event organizer, inquire. That sends me an email. You can also fill out information. It's just to, it's so if you want to join the network, you fill out the information. There's 4 simple questions. It's just to identify and make sure you're a real person. And, it's about people meeting in person. So we need to keep some safety.
So are you in a limited beta right now, or are you accepting anybody who? I'm
accepting anybody.
Real?
Anybody who's real. Anybody who's real. No fake profiles. There is in our member rules as well. You need to have a picture that's real. You need to put real information in. Otherwise, it's not beneficial to other people around, and it's also potentially just not safe. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also too much fake stuff on the internet as it is. We need more reality.
If somebody sets up a profile that isn't filled out, we're going to remind. If they refuse to fill it out, it just gets deleted from the server. It's kind of that's the way.
And then can I also sort of like, do I get to review other people? It's like after I've made that connection with it, does that show up at all? Like if, let's say I talked to an accountant and the accountant was really good, can I say, oh, this accountant was great, I want to recommend them?
No, there's no that kind of recommendation. We leave this to Yelp. But also because, maybe this is something that could be done in person, right? In future, that you could sort of put some rating. Well, the part of the ML experience is trying to validate how useful the connection was after for you. But not so much to put it on your profile and say, oh, this guy has only 1 star, because I think that's a little sort of offensive, but rather to better connect you next time and understand what maybe works better and what doesn't work for you.
Right, that sounds good. So what's the website that the people go to?
www.hatch.hatch.vision.
Hatch.vision. I love it.
Yeah, hatch.vision.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Yes,
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to get on this and pay real money for it.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.